Hi, John Farrell with the Farrell Law Firm. Today we're going to be talking about estate planning done right using John Wayne as an example. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We put out new videos every Tuesday and Friday. And make sure that you hit the like button because, hey, every like helps. Hi, John Farrell with the Farrell Law Firm. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am the author of Estate Planning for the Modern Family and was recently voted one of the top 3 lawyers here in Cobb County, Georgia, along with the law firm being voted one of the top 3 law firms here in Cobb County, Georgia. Well, today we're going to be talking about estate planning done right using John Wayne as an example. Now, for those of you who do not know John Wayne, he was born Marion Robert Morrison in 1907 in Winterset, Iowa. But he grew up in Southern California. He had a football scholarship at the University of Southern California, but ended up losing it after a body surfing accident. I believe he broke his collarbone and ultimately ended up losing that football scholarship. Well, he ended up working at what was called the Fox Film Corporation. And while he was there, he ended up starring in over 179 films and television productions over the course of his career. Now, my personal favorite movie of his is called North to Alaska. It is, in my opinion, the ultimate John Wayne caricature. If you think of John Wayne, this movie is more John Wayne than I think even John Wayne is. So much so that me and my college roommates would often watch this movie together, and we would just remark about how it just seemed like when you think of John Wayne, this is the person that you think of, the person that was in North to Alaska. So if you ever get a chance to go back and watch that film, I highly recommend it. Well, we're going to talk about 2 ways that John Wayne had his estate planning done right. Now, in his personal life, John Wayne was married 3 times. He had 7 children, and sadly, he passed away in 1979. Well, he wrote a last will and testament, and he left his estate to a number of people, including his family and some longtime secretaries that he had throughout his career. But he had 2 ways that he did his estate planning right. Number 1, he had an estate plan to begin with. So for most people out there, I believe the American Bar Association did a survey and said that 50% of people out there do not even have a basic estate plan. So the first thing that John Wayne did right was that he had an estate plan to begin with. Number 1, he had a last will and testament. And that's how we know how his estate was divided up, because last will and testaments get filed down at the probate court and they become part of the public record. So we know that he had a last will and testament. So we know that John Wayne was ahead of at least half the people in America, because half the people in America don't even have a basic estate plan. So that's how we know that he did one thing right. He had an estate plan to begin with. Number 2, the number 2 thing that John Wayne did correctly was that he specifically excluded people that he did not want to receive an inheritance. Number 1, he excluded his 3rd wife. Now, in his last will and testament, he said the reason that he was excluding his 3rd wife, the reason he stated was because he had provided for her in a separate agreement, a separation agreement, as a matter of fact. So apparently they were separated, and he had provided for her in an agreement of that separation. And so he decided not to leave anything to her in the will because he had already provided for her. So that was the number 1 person that he excluded. The second person that he specifically excluded in his will was a son-in-law that was married to his daughter, Toni. Now, it's unclear as to why he specifically excluded his son-in-law from his will, but apparently he did not want his son-in-law to receive any inheritance that he might leave to Toni. So he specifically excluded that son-in-law. We don't know the reasons behind the exclusion of the son-in-law like we do his 3rd wife, because he wrote in there why he was excluding his 3rd wife. But for whatever reason, he decided that he did not want his son-in-law to receive an inheritance that he might receive through his daughter Toni. So the second thing that John Wayne did correctly was that he specifically excluded people that he did not want to receive an inheritance. And from time to time, we will have people come into the office and they will say, you know, there's just certain people in their life that they don't want to receive things. And you can specifically exclude those people. But yeah, so if there's someone that you want to specifically exclude, you should make sure that that is included in your last will and testament. All right, so those are the two ways that John Wayne got his estate plan right. Number one, he had an estate plan to begin with. And number two, he specifically excluded people that he wanted to not receive an inheritance from his estate. That's easy for me to say, right? So those are the two things. One, he had a plan. Number two, he had specific exclusions in his will. All right, so that's pretty much all that we have to offer for today. If you've watched our videos for any amount of time, you know that what we do is that we provide estate plans for people. And what you're going to want to do is that we've created a book called The Estate Planning for the Modern Family. You're going to want to grab a copy of that book because it is a great place to start when it comes to planning your estate. Number two, if you want to learn a little bit more about myself or perhaps schedule a free consultation for yourself, reach out to us at 678-809-4922. That's 678-809-4922. Or you can hit the link in the description below and it will take you to a landing page where you can schedule a free consultation. All right, so that's all that we have to offer today. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We put out new videos every Tuesday and Friday. And make sure that you hit the like button because, hey, every like helps.